Hi, welcome back to the channel. I thought it's about time I gave you a bit of an update on the railway in my cabin here. So I've been working on it on and off for a few months, and finally got to the point where I've got things kind of working as I want them to work in just a sort of a roundabout-y track, you know, because I wanted to just make sure that the locomotives were running. I've got a couple that don't run, and I'm not entirely sure. I bought them second hand like 5 years ago, and one that I'm glad is working is a warship, which I really like. Actually, somebody in the comments last time asked me what was my favourite era. I don't really have a favourite era. I guess I don't really know. I'm very aware that a lot of people kind of tend to keep things in the same kind of era. Like, you wouldn't get a brand new train running with a steam train on the same kind of layout unless maybe you had a branch layout or a heritage line. So at the moment I've got a right old mix. Now I'm having difficulty with some carriages on some of the corners. Now this is temporary, the layout, although maybe 70% of it will be the permanent track. There's bits where I've made it into basically a round and round track, and that won't stay. But a couple of the corners, only with certain carriages, they derail. Now the locos go around fine, and most carriages go around fine, but some don't. And also I've even had it where on one of the tighter corners, when trains are going past each other with, again, certain carriages, they knock each other. They don't all do it, which is weird. I'm pretty sure I've got the spacing right, but so I think I mentioned before, I was looking at the Lodi stuff, and that was kind of working out quite expensive, and I already had a Z21, a white start version, and I think I said that a lot of the stuff I read said that the black had a lot more function and features, although I'm never really sure exactly what additional functions and features it had. But I found a brand new one from a company in Germany that's selling for the same price as second-hand ones were selling on Rails of Sheffield, for example. So I bit the bullet, and at the same time I bought some, in fact I'll walk you through it at the moment. Excuse the wiring, because I've kind of run out of certain colours. I was colour coding really well, and then I run out of certain colours, so I've had to improvise initially. So let's have a look at the hardware I'm using. Right, so I did stick with all Roco Z21 hardware, just so I knew it was 100% compatible. Now I know I could use Yamhawk stuff and other things, but I wanted to just stick with one manufacturer. So I've got this detector. Now this is block detection. Basically I've tried to stick with yellow, but obviously run out of yellow, so I've just done some white and some blue here. Now these allows for 16 blocks, which I'm using 15 of, I think, at the moment. So that's there. It's kind of connected into the Z21 that you see there, black one. Next to that is the switch decoder. Switch decoder manages the points. Now that was quite tricky. In fact, it wasn't really as tricky as I was making it out to be, or in fact it didn't seem as tricky as a lot of other YouTube channels, but I think some of them are using different equipment obviously. But the wiring, so I used Unifrog, was really straightforward. Next to that is another detector. Now this detector is slightly different in that it supports Railcom messages from train. Now one of the Castle class I've got has got, I think, a Railcom decoder in there, and basically what that gives me is that, now this is me just experimenting with stuff really, that gives me information back to iTrains, or iTrain should I say. It tells you basically what the train is, not just that there's something there. It tells you like the ID of the train, so you know what actual train is in a specific block. So I'll give you a bit of an overview of the kind of track layout that I've got at the moment. So I'm going to have stations here. There individual blocks. Then we go round the top of the track, around those bends, and those bends are okay. Now we're going down a big home straight here. I know not everyone's a fan of a big long straight, but this is just phase one. I just wanted to watch the trains go round and round, and give them a bit of a run in, if you like. Then down the bottom there's another bend, which that's the tight one, but down by the Dow Egberts, that's a tight kind of bit I've got, and then it comes round there, then back along this straight and back into the station. I've also got to configure blocks in iTrain properly. I've kind of done it without reading the manual. It's a blokey thing to do, isn't it? But I've done it without reading the manual, and it's not working as I expected it to. Like, I get a little light come on with the occupancy detector when it goes into a block, and that goes off when it goes out of the block. But my understanding was that the whole block should be a colour, so I need to look into that a bit more. Anyway, so at the moment I've got a Castle class, a class 55, and a warship that you might have seen trundling around the track. But at the moment I'm keeping it to just 2 carriages because of some of those, the tight corner at the end does sometimes play up where it's got more than one type of carriage I've got. It seems to mess up, or derail actually. Anyway, I'm having fun with it. Now I need to work on some more operational interest, so a bit more, not just round and round. I mean, like I said earlier, I've done it round and round for a specific reason, just to get used to everything running. That what I do later, phase 2, the bend at the far end, I'll cut that away and just straighten it up, and it'll go over to the other section at the back there and have a station and maybe a freight depot. Then I'm also going to have a table kind of out this way. I've got a point that's waiting for me to open that bit once I put the baseboard in, and that's going to be sort of like a train fiddle yard sort of thing, really. Right, so that's pretty much it for this update. I've yet to do any automation on iTrains. I'm just literally controlling the trains manually from iTrains, stopping and starting them, and changing the points manually. So next phase is for me to look into a bit more of on the automation front before I extend the track any further than I have done already. But block detection is working correctly from the Roco side, but iTrains, like I say, with the 2 block detection units having the same addresses, it's not really playing game as the Castle class derails. That's another. I've got 1 point that's not, 1 turnout that is playing up. That's model railway, right? Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.